So another point, a lot of product engineer interns, and this was a part of the discussion. Now what? Because now coding is getting fast. Now what? Now what? Because now developers are really doing, or I would say like the coding is happening really fast. So now what? I had this question, and when I looked on the YouTube, I found one presentation from Fiona Fung, director of engineering for Cloud Code, like that. So see the thing about this way. So it was not always like the code was the thing, right? Maybe you are in your career where you are just thinking about the code. You are still going through with the coding tools, and just diving much deeper into only in the tech area, right? Something like that. But see, code is like there's a months or years of discussions before we reach to the code. Right. If, let's say I remember like when I developed a project with a big major bank back in for Sydney. It is one of the top bank in Australia, and there they had a discussion like from last 3 years that this solution we have to develop, and they have various documentation fragmented here, there, this, that, and many it was just like a very fragmented idea. Okay, we have to develop this, right? And I joined that specific project where I developed that solution from zero. So in that almost 6 to 8 months I worked on the problem itself. Right, I worked into all fragmented parts. I worked with product managers, principal architects, their people. I understood what need to be done, and converted a compiled, you can say an UI UX information architecture first, like how this specific solution looks like before reaching to even UI UX information architecture and couple of pages, how this whole prototype looks like, and getting the feedback from product managers, from their people, from their principal architects within the banks and everyone. When we did all these things, then only we invited the coding people. And then we say, oh, we need a job, need a person who is a Java developer, must have this thing, or React developer must have this thing, or database guys must have this thing, something like that. So it was not like, coding was the thing, but now, and, the timeline earlier we defined, when we developed the projects, because we knew that there is a stages to passing the information, because when converting a real life problem to digital life problem, there are many hands off. And many hands off means first we do all requirement analysis, understand each other, then pass on to the next guys, then pass on to the next guys. And passing that information to the next guys means giving complete knowledge, understanding to others, so they can come up to some level and work towards the solution of the problem of which we are working. But to and that there's a many practices got developed. And like we have Scrum Master, product managers, business analysts, front-end developer, back-end developer, database developer, based on the project to project, like that. And you may be one of the person who is thinking yourself as a back-end developer or front-end developer or something like that, right? So what I'm saying is like there's a 2 years, there's a significant work got done. This is just I'm picking an example where the project starting from zero. From zero means there's just idea and then developing to the specific project. So there's a whole lot context involved. But now like things are getting faster. Every stage of work they can do quicker, right? They don't need to postpone their problem a lot later time, when even people who are every day going through with that problem, when they are expecting the solution, even they forget what the solution is for what problem, something like that. So what this article I'm specific thing saying, what blocked when coding stopped being the bottlenecks. So when coding stopped, earlier, there was a pattern, like we do the requirement, we write it, and Scrum Master or business analyst, they discuss with the tech team, and tech team will develop it, then code testing it, that's something like that, right? So there was a slow kind of circle. There was a slow, Jenkins CI/CD pipelines or something when code is getting pushed. Now code is pushing faster. So just rather than going through with all presentation and everything, I would suggest is like there's a lot of practices we can change now with this during our solution development. So rather than first like better we can understand the full problem end to end. We can have a better prompts. We can have our integrated setup, like we may have our Confluence, Jira, those kind of things integrated setup. So now rather than coming up only with a diagram how the solution looks like or something, even you can come up with full prototype. And if you have some experience, you can come up with the solution as well with all reasoning and everything. You don't need to go through with and now because you have a time, you can focus more on the domain of the problem or work you are doing or expected to do. So now the change is not only that I'm still a front-end developer, but I'm a product engineer, means part of this product, part of this solution which I'm working on, and I can contribute on that. So as an engineer manager side or as a lead side, when you're looking on a project, right? So now design, the way of working, teams of working, not on a previous mindset, based on use that mindset that coding would be done faster, understand that requirement would be understood faster. Because I can give an example, right? Recently, I developed a whole solution design and overall solution with the user management, users identities of users management for the specific full stack engineering applications, which is which is targeted for Australian logistics. So that had different set of application, and it has different type of users, rules, and all. On the technical level, it has standard things like JWTs and key clock kind of stuff, giving identities like that, and then application need to follow. But the problem was, because every solution is new, and there's a set of business analysts and product managers, right? And I was discussing with that, they have hundreds different type of questions. DevOps guys, they have questions. Backend developer, front-end developer, they have the questions. If I did not have this AI assistance, I would not. I would have postponed it for 2-3 weeks. But we jumped into the discussion. It was a 2-hour discussion. I collected all the inputs, right? I spent a day and all questions got answered, all questions up to deeper and deeper level. Backend was asking how we develop this. Frontend is asking how this JWT token flows. And then Keycloak guys is asking how we created the real. BS is asking how we will put this into our requirements, right? And then, like product managers is asking why we have, this different set of realm or different set of clients or different set of these things, how we have the enterprise identities and all, right? Earlier, this would have taken months, but now it is much quicker. So overall, the idea is like we need to adapt. We need to change our machinery. We need to change our, how the things work before AI. So now it is much faster. This is a different assembly line. And I believe like the adapting of this kind of AI-based native, lifecycle, AI native, software development lifecycle, it will give more time to every developers, to the team, so they can focus more on, best features, optimize code better, rather than they talk more with the customer who need the solution, right? So, and add their value. They can, work, but rather than solving a small thing, they can solve 10 different things once they develop a better mindset like a product engineer, because they need not to always guided by a product manager. Oh, develop a user management, then develop a login flow. They know it, like if it is a login, it has a logout. What my meaning is, there's a lot of practice need to be changed. People cannot come with a very narrow-minded system, narrow-minded mindset that I'm only front-end developer. Everybody can work something like a product engineer. Product engineer is something like when basically you really understand what this product is for, what this basically a solution is for. And you can, if like you have given a task, you are not repeating it again, because you know what needs to be done, and you can add values by discussing and going quickly to AI assistance and coming with a prototype or solution itself, rather waiting, something like that. So just there is a change involved, and we need to adapt it, and we need to make sure that we are using AI assistance and embedding in our work. And a lot of you guys know that you would have spent days. I don't know any developer who just finished his work in 9 to 5. I spent 18 hours continuously on software projects, including weekends, including weekdays. Then only I was able to solve the problem. But this AI is really helping at least a lot of developers like me who can who can work when they ask the right questions. So a lot to adapt in AI assistance. When code is getting faster, requirements is also getting faster, answer getting done faster. So things are not hanging. There's a lot of practice need to change. Even so I will keep talking more about it, but just thought to share. There's a lot of things are changing. Share comments on this video if you watch this video anyway, and I will definitely prepare my next set of videos and share my thing. Thank you. Have a good day.